Hey there, my name is Kyle Barber. I am a program chair of the marketing department at Bellevue College. I'm also the chair of the data analytics department as well as the digital media arts department. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Running Start at Bellevue College. I've been teaching here for 7 years, and I've had a number of Running Start students in my classes. Um, I think Running Start students often do really great at marketing, and I think that's terrific because there's a lot of jobs out there in the marketing field. Part of what we're looking for in Running Start students is students that are really interested in solving problems, like doing detective work. I think that's really important because so much of marketing is going into client meetings, listening to the problems they're facing, and figuring out ways to solve those problems. You are probably exposed to marketing all the time as consumers. You see advertisements, you look at content that's posted on social media. You've got experiences with it. What you're doing is you're basically applying psychology, try to figure these things out. And you do not need to have a certain experience. You really just have to have a curiosity about why do people do what they do. And you're applying that psychology to make some informed business decisions. So it's kind of like the strategic, interesting part of business. And I think that's why a lot of younger students are kind of drawn into this field. And we've seen our program grow quite a bit. Some of the things that we're want to talk about with Running Start students are like, what are the prerequisites of what this program would ask of you? And you do not need to have that strong of a math background. You're not going to be doing that much math, but you do probably need to have some familiarity with Excel and working with spreadsheets, because you'll do a lot of that in many of your classes, as you would as a professional marketer. You'll spend a lot of time in Excel. We need to demonstrate accountability that the marketing is actually working. We do want students to not only take English 101, but also English 201. We think it's important that you've got a real strong foundation in writing. A good chunk of what you do in marketing is written communication as well as oral communication. You do not have to come in and be a world-class public speaker, but we are looking for students who have that ability to be able to tell stories and communicate their ideas and thoughts that way. When we talk about what are some of the risks we want Running Start students to take, I'm hoping that you come into classes not just trying to get the best grade possible and get it done, but you're actually coming and trying to learn about the subject. And I want, even though you're young and you're not sure what you want to do career-wise, I'd like to think that you're trying to immerse yourself in this subject so you can think about, would I actually like to do this for a career? And I think that's one of the great things about doing professional technical type courses, such as the marketing program, is we're not just thinking in theory about like, what is the idea of marketing, but we have you do hands-on work and see, do you have an interest in this? Is this something that you're good at? Is it something that you want to learn more about? So that way you're taking it for a test drive and seeing if it's a good fit for you. So the risks I would ask Running Start students to do is like really kind of throw yourself into it and don't worry so much about trying to get the best grade, but really try to dig in deep and see, do I understand this? Do I have a solid understanding of it and an interest to do more? And if you have that kind of attitude, that kind of intellectual curiosity, you're going to go really far in your career. When thinking about communication with instructors, I think this is really important because a lot of times Running Start students, I think, are afraid to speak up. They're like thinking, oh, I'm younger. I don't want to raise my hand and say I'm confused about something because they're worried they'll be perceived as being young and maybe they shouldn't be here. But questions of any age and any experience, students of any age and any experience, they've got questions just like you. And one of the ways that you practice being an adult is by advocating for yourself. You speak up and say, hey, I just need some more clarity about this. Can you help me? And teachers want you to succeed. So we want you to not be shy, to ask those clarifying questions and make sure that you are getting something out of your time spent in the classroom or online and virtual, as the classes are currently. When I think about what are some of the motivations to be successful in class, again, that intellectual curiosity, that desire to learn is a huge part of it. I think wanting to express connections. So basically, you're applying critical thinking. You're not just churning out a paper because the teacher asks you to write a paper, but we want to find people in marketing that are very expressive and want to, assess the situation, try to articulate the problem, and find a solution. When we find students who can do that well, we know this is probably a good fit for them career wise. I wanted to talk a little bit about extracurricular activities. It's a big part of what I do here at Bellevue College. I lead our national champion DECA team, and I also lead the speech and debate team for the school. And I think doing experiential learning, which is basically we're doing the hands-on practice, we're going to these competitions, competing against other schools, and practicing doing case study competition or doing speeches, gives students a chance to practice their speaking abilities, but even better than that, they're practicing their ability to put together their ideas in a coherent way and really be able to kind of sell people on their ideas and persuade them, because communications is so critical to marketing, and really any type of business. If you want to be successful in that, you need to be able to express yourself and share your ideas and thoughts. And we're hoping that students will be drawn to this major and try out those skills.
I know that there is so much pressure in education to pick your career and go for it and stick to that no matter what. But the reality is that people change careers throughout their life so many different times. People go back to school after having decades of experience in one field because they just don't want to do it anymore. So even if, right, you are wanting to commit to something right now, know that because you are pursuing a field with so many transferable skills that are marketable and that aren't going away anytime soon, you can easily switch careers, go back to school the going back to school is, I know, is a huge commitment. And it takes a lot of time and money and planning. But yeah, you can, right? And again, I know what attracts a lot of students to psychology is counseling and therapy and mental health, which is extremely important. But in any field, if you're doing psychology research, you're going to be contributing to the mental and physical well-being of whoever that research is impacting, right? And so even though you might not be directly counseling someone, your role might be impacting a group of employees, a group of healthcare workers, a group of patients, which I think is the core of why we're all drawn to this field anyway, right? A tip that I have been sharing with students, either when you're like ready to start thinking about graduate programs or when you're ready to start looking at jobs. One thing is to look at job ads. So think about your dream job, right? So whether that is a mental health counselor, a school psychologist, a research coordinator, whatever that role is, and look at current job ads in those roles, and take a look at what skills they look for, right? So do they want you to know SPSS? Do they want you to know how to run multivariate models? What are they looking for? And then also, what education and volunteer experiences do they prefer? Oftentimes, right, in psychology, we're like, oh yeah, you need to go to graduate school, you need a master's or a PhD. But sometimes you can get into some roles that don't require that. Some roles will just want you to have a bachelor's degree and then some experience with research or some experience volunteering. And that's not to say that you will never go to graduate school eventually, but it could allow you to get into those sectors and see if that's actually what you want to do.
So my name is Leo Corella. I teach in the psychology department. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, so I'm an active therapist. I am a full-time faculty member. I've been teaching here for 6 years, and I am the moderator for the Psychology Club. Students can leverage their experience at Bellevue College studying psychology in two ways. One, get to know your professors. This is a staff, a department that really cares about their students. I know that every member of our staff does some form of advising, whether it's how to get to the next step of getting to UW or Western Washington, or how to get involved in research in some way, or some career advising. What would you like to do? Do you want to develop clinical skills? Would you like to do school psychology? Would you like to apply this to criminology and forensic settings? Is this something where you want to become an educator, or is it something where you want to develop curriculum? There's so many different ways that you can apply psychology. So tapping into our professors, I think, is first. The second is we have two clubs in our department that are really great. One, I have the pleasure of moderating, which is the Psychology Club. The Psychology Club, it meets every other week. We meet on Tuesdays. And our first goal is really to build community. So students come together, they talk about psychology, we read articles together, we practice mindfulness together. We have visited local museums, we've gone to lectures at UW, we went to a virtual reality center and met a psychologist that does gaming with virtual reality. We do lots of different things to kind of figure out just our own passions in psychology and share and build community. That's informal, and it's something where students can join really at any point throughout the year. And then more formally is something called Psi Beta. And Psi Beta is an honor society for community colleges in psychology. And I highly recommend getting involved with that. We have two excellent faculty members that actually coach students on doing some research, attending conferences, and really kind of building up that early CV to be a competitive student, to transfer and to take the next steps.
Keeping some sort of journal, whether it's just a Word document or whether you write, analog, whatever you do, is what are the things as you're going through this process as a psychology student that really spoke to you? I was really interested in the neuroscience stuff that just resonated with me. I just couldn't get enough of studying, neurotransmitters in the brain and parts of the brain. Or I just really fascinated by hiring. I heard that part about hiring practices, and that just stood out to me. I kind of want to look something up on that. You'll take so many classes in this field. You got to realize that you can do a lot of different things with a psychology degree. The more you can draw from 2, 3, 4 of those things, more is what might create you as a unique psychologist. If that sort of makes sense. In other words, you're developing, you're putting together these interests and skill sets that will make you stand out more than just the degree itself.
Hey students, my name is Jenny Mayer. I teach chemistry at Bellevue College, and I've been there for 15 years. Right now, I'm the co-chair of physical sciences, which is chemistry and physics. So basically, I'm going to sort of give my take on how to be an effective science student or student taking science classes. There are some characteristics that are helpful for students who are learning science. So some of those things are, let's say, love for hands-on learning, and study skills are really important. Drawing things out and connecting the dots. Definitely some math or reading, comprehension will be very helpful. And of course, time management and motivation are helpful. But also curiosity and solving problems. We talk a lot about climate change or some of the issues that are facing us right now, COVID, and we're trying to be creative. These are issues that don't have any clear solutions. So we're thinking about new ways to come about some of these problems. So creativity is really important, and so is critical thinking. One way that college classes are more difficult than high school is partly because we move pretty fast. So instead of, semesters, we have these short quarters that are, only 10 or 11 weeks. So to get through some of the material, there's pretty much a new concept almost every time you go to class. And, you move through the chapters pretty quickly. Also, things in science tend to build on top of each other. So you may learn some really big concept and you learn ways to apply it, and then you learn another new concept. But you don't really just learn something, regurgitate it, and then move on to the next thing, not in a lot of classes. So you want to make sure you don't think, oh, I'll just skip this chapter, I don't really like it. A lot of stuff can come back and build on that. So I would say try not to skip anything, even if things are difficult or don't interest you, try to get through it if you can. And think about learning as, learning something new, hopefully using it and then maybe forgetting it if you don't use it, maybe making some mistakes because you didn't understand it 100% the first time, and then just relearning it. So, I mean, really, all of life is like that, just learning from your mistakes, learning new things, forgetting them, learning them again, And so, just think about that as more of a big picture. So, some things to set yourself up for success. I think it's not just about the grades, but learning how you learn. Learning is something you're going to do your whole life. So, use your time in college to help further yourself with that. I think it's best to learn things if you can connect them to your everyday life, connect them to your interests, your curiosity about the world. And then also, if you can connect yourself with people to support you, your classmates, I think that's really great. You want to be able to work on your own as well, what I call self direction. No one's going to hold your hand. You've got to really think about why you're in this class, and what you're trying to get out of it. So reflect on that. Do you like what you're learning? If not, is there a way you can help get more interest in it? And maybe not enjoying everything you're learning can help you lead to things that you do enjoy or can benefit you in life. So, or even the things that we don't enjoy sometimes benefit us, right? So, try to have a positive attitude through it. Also, try to think of some questions to ask yourself, ask your instructor to get to know them. Keep curiosity alive, and try to open up conversations, even though that's the hard part about being in the world, right? You don't really want to talk to people sometimes or, meet new people. It's sort of a hassle, but, just try to put yourself out there if you can, even if it feels like weird. It's going to benefit you to have some of those social, networking skills. And then try to find your voice in it all. You're in these classes with 20, 30 other people, and you want to be unique and you want to be yourself, and you want to think about what are your strengths as a human being, what are you there to learn and improve on, and take criticism seriously and not negatively, but just we all have things to work on. So, yeah, just be open to those ideas. And then think about how you can contribute to your society, right? How your surroundings, the people you love. Maybe you can learn about, how to take better care of yourself or others through nutrition classes, or maybe you can design a cool new material that is recyclable or better for the environment. So, if those kinds of things are exciting and can benefit you in taking science classes. The last thing is to try to look at the big picture. How is learning going to help you ultimately grow as a human being? And just, keep trying, keep trying to expand your mind to things that you are new to you, might be difficult, but will help you, further your thinking and your ability to solve problems. Another thing is to take responsibility. I think in high school, I remember my teachers did a lot of things to structure their class. I knew how to do well, and I knew like what would not help me. And so in college, have more freedom, and it's a little bit harder to figure out what you need to do. Sometimes you need to make a vocabulary list, and sometimes you don't, right? So, and your instructors aren't high school teachers, they're mostly college. They expect you to be able to take your own responsibility for learning. So I would say try to use some of the strategies you learned in high school, or try doing things that work for you. So is it a to-do list? Is it a calendar with due dates? Is it just reminders? So maybe it's having someone in the class to help you when you're lost. You can call a friend. So it's not on your instructor, but you can think of it as a partnership. They're like your coach. So call them and see, hey, I'm not sure about this assignment, and see if you can get some help, sometimes from your instructor and sometimes from others in the class. So I think getting a study buddy is really helpful to connect yourself with the class, and especially if you can't make it to every class. And then for me, I always try to get inspired, find examples of others who have made it through tough times. For example, I'm really inspired by Marie Curie. She was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize and the only person to win 2 science Nobel Prizes. She's came from a poor Polish family, and she had depression and faced discrimination because there weren't many women scientists. And she worked really hard, though. She's very smart. She was very dedicated. And she paved the way for a lot of others to be scientists as well, who weren't, what people thought of what scientists should look like, And so I think for yourself too, think about, who inspires you, whether they're famous or not. And remember that, people are out there to help support you. So some of the people who can support you are your instructors. Your professors are there because they love the stuff they studied and the stuff that they want you to learn. So they love their subject and they want you to have a good experience. I think we as instructors face challenges with trying to keep track of 30 plus students in our classes. So try to be a little understanding, and I think it'll go both ways, hopefully. But that's why you want to have multiple mechanisms for support. So, reach out to your instructor, but then if they don't write back right away, maybe just nudge them, just give a follow-up or start contacting other people who might know the answer. If you try to introduce yourself the first week or so, just make an appointment or drop by office hours. Try to think of a question to ask, try to start a conversation, how did you get into your field? I think you will learn a lot from their life experiences. And that'll help you practice those social communication skills as well. Another thing I really like when my students are taking my classes, they sometimes, even though I don't ask them to, they'll just send me a note, oh, I'm so sorry, I won't be able to come to class today. Something came up. And I'll ask someone else in the class what we covered so I can stay up to date. And I just really appreciate that because then, they're not putting it on me that they had to lose class time. They're taking responsibility for themselves, and they are reaching out to me to let me know that they're not just slacking off. They had a good reason not to be there, and they're keeping me informed. So I really like that a lot. So I think if you can be proactive like that, it shows a lot of initiative and motivation on your part. So in the end, I hope you will really enjoy and find value in what you learn in college. It's really the time to explore. Like I said earlier, just look at the big picture and see, what are the big skills I'm learning through school, and what does that tell me about myself and where I want to go in life. Also, there's lots of student support services and clubs on campus. So there are lots of people who care about your success and can help you. So when you need it, and of course, you can help others as well. So please reach out to those around you for help and support and a good experience in college. And I wish you all the best.